Okay, this is awkward. All right, her name is Sarah Zufelt.
This is Ryan, and
right.
we are back with another video.
Man, this is so awkward. All right, so we wrote down a list of 10 things that we kind of thought helped us with our relationship. We've been together. We've been high school sweethearts. We've been together for almost 9 years. Don't correct me. 8 years and 10 months. Okay. All right. I mean, is it 25th?
Technically not.
If it's the 25th, just about. All right. We're getting there. Anyhow, we've been together for a long time. So we kind of wrote down like some of the stuff that's been helping us kind of keep everything together. I think that these are some pretty key things. Yeah, I don't.
Yes.
So, all right, we're kind of shooting from the hip. We talked about it a little bit. We had 10 different things, and we were just like, hey, this would probably be a good idea to put out to everybody because, I mean, we've been together for almost 9 years now.
And no breakups. We've never had a break. We've never...
No breaks. 9 long years, but no.
Yeah, they've been really long.
No breakups. Anyhow, so first on the list is something that I put. It's kind of one of my biggest pet peeves, I guess, and it's don't use social media as an outlet. So what I mean by that isn't necessarily like let me think here. So it's not.
Gotta give an example.
Yeah,
basically like how if we see people on the internet, like say I don't know somebody we know and it's they're married or they're together or whatever and totally bashing on their other significant other and just I don't know.
So if you guys, all right, so in layman's terms here, if you guys are having issues, don't use social media. Don't start posting, oh, my husband doesn't do this, my boyfriend doesn't do this. They don't pay any bills. They're a lazy sack of. I mean, whatever it is, you don't use social media as that outlet to kind of vent. Reason being is because it kind of creates a stigma behind that person. So let's say Diana. Okay, I do know a Diana, but it's not about you, Diana. Alvarez is Diana. Anyhow,
shame on you.
So if Diana's having an issue with her husband, and they're starting to get into fights, that's something that you keep between you two. You don't go to social media and you don't say, my husband doesn't take out the trash when I ask. He doesn't notice the trash is empty, or he doesn't mow the lawn on time, or whatever it is, right? You don't use social media to basically blast your significant other because then everybody else, they don't know your relationship. They don't know, how you guys are. All they see is that social media post and they're like, wow, that dude's, not really somebody
he's garbage.
Yeah, he's not a very good husband, right? So, and I mean, it could be just kind of an in the moment thing, something that you're kind of like, yeah, that's not exactly true. I was just kind of pissed off and I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to post this. It creates a stigma, and then your significant other's upset at you because now you pretty much put them on blast. It's not a good look. Yep. So something that we've never done to each other is anytime that we ever have issues, if we get in an argument or we start fighting, we never take that to social media. We don't ever post on Instagram. We don't post on Facebook, tweet. I don't have a Twitter, but anyways, we don't do any of that, and that's honestly been a pretty big factor for myself. Because you put somebody on blast, especially like myself. If Sarah was to put me on blast, I'd be hurt. Like my pride in itself would be hurt. Whether it's true or not, again, that's just something you keep off of social media. That kind of layers into number 2. So
number 2.
So I put don't badmouth your spouse to others when you're having a problem. Similar to social media. So if you guys have an issue that's between you two, it's between you two. You don't now go to your friend down the street or your friend that you've known for years. It's not something that we personally have done. I know plenty of people that do it. If it works for you, that's great. It has not worked for us. That's not something that we do. If we have an issue, that's an issue that is between Sarah and I. Whatever it may be, it always gets worked out. We always talk with each other, and we always, come to a resolution, whether it be, one person has to sacrifice for the other, just kind of,
you are compromising.
Good job. You're compromising. So, anyways, whether it be compromising with one another, we never go outside of her and I. That's kind of like a sacred trust that we have. once somebody goes out and does that and they break that trust, it's really hard to get back. So that's my number 2 for me personally, or I guess for us.
Yep. Number 3 is always date each other. I feel like you are in a honeymoon phase for a period of time when you start dating somebody. And obviously I was 15 when we started dating. So, it lasted probably a little longer than what it would be if we were to meet now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like if you have to make that time for each other. Like, whether it's, I don't know, bringing home McDonald's or something and make them feel loved and just sit on the couch and watch TV together, or whether it's just going to the park or you plan something to do for the weekend. Always just making feel like that person is still your number 1 and trying to get those butterflies again and keep them going.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it can get to a certain point, especially when you live with somebody for so long and where you feel like you do the same thing every day and you come home and you feel like roommates almost. And so I know I felt that way personally because it would be a little while since we've actually took the time to do something with each other, or, it's different where you come home from work and you, I don't know, take a shower, eat, say you love each other and go to bed and then do it all over again the next day. So you really have to make that time for each other. So that's my number 3.
The saying, don't go to bed mad. So I heard it from multiple people that are generations older than myself. And I don't necessarily know if I found that very helpful. Let me explain. So if Sarah and I ever get into an argument, whatever it may be, which is actually fairly rare because we're pretty easygoing people.
Yeah.
But anyways, if we ever get into an argument, I find pretty helpful sometimes to just take a step back. She's like, you know what? I'm upset. She lays down in bed. I'm in the game room or whatever it may be. And we just kind of have our own space. Obviously we go to bed, we wake up in the morning, and then we talk about it. So I feel like I don't necessarily want to say, oh yeah, go to bed mad. Like that's not really great advice.
Yeah.
However,
because it's different for everybody.
Let yourself relax. Let yourself start to come to common ground and decide, you know what? I can see where they're coming from. I can actually take their standpoint, sit in their shoes, stand in their shoes, however you want to say that, and see what they're seeing, look at things from their perspective. Because when you're upset and you have your own train of thought, that's your whole motive there. That you're like, you know what?
Especially in the moment.
Yeah, this is how I think, this is how it should be. And things get a lot more heated and things that aren't necessarily true or hurtful things get said. And it's just a lot easier to say, you know what? I'm going to take a second. My wife's going to take a second. We're just going to relax. We'll talk about it in the morning and we'll all, start talking with cooler heads. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
Out.
Yeah, we've never had an issue with that.
We don't we've never really truly fought. Like, we don't yell at each other. We don't do any of that. We get irritated with each other because that's normal. I mean, we live with each other. Yeah, pain in my ass too. So, but we've never ever, in our whole almost 9 years being together, I don't think we've ever truly had a fight to where we were to the point of breaking up or anything like that. But I feel like if we're irritated with each other, I'm just like, all right, I'm going to bed. See you in the morning. It just prevents from hurtful things being said to each other, and we talk about it in the morning, and like that's it. I mean, we're done. Pretty easy going.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
Yep.
So kind of in relation to that, our number 5 is family issues. So how do I explain this to the best of my ability here? Any issues that you have. So I've had a few people come to me, right? And they ask me for advice and they say, hey, you know what? You've been with your wife almost 9 years. What do you guys do? Like, I'm having an issue with my mother-in-law, or I'm having an issue with my father-in-law, or my husband's uncle, like whatever it may be, right? They're like, I don't really know exactly how to resolve it. Like, I don't want to go to them and just say, hey, this is how this is. So my advice to them personally is we always keep our family separate. And what I mean by that is, if Sarah has an issue with my uncle, or Sarah has an issue with my aunt, or whatever it may be, she brings it up to me. We talk about it and we say, okay, well, what's the issue? The issue may be something like, I don't know, he knocks on the door and then just comes in, right? Or something similar. So what we'll kind of do from there is, again, try to come to a reasoning. Okay, well, why does he do that? Like, have we ever said, hey, you know what, just stop by anytime? Try to come to a reasonable explanation of why he's doing what he does. If we can't really come up with any of that, and it's still an issue even after talking it out, like, yeah, you know, it may not be an issue to me, but it's an issue to her, or vice versa, then we kind of talk it amongst ourselves. Once that's done and we're like, hey, yeah, it is still an issue. If it's my uncle or if it's her uncle, we take each other's side of the family. So if it's her uncle, she'll go talk to her uncle. She'll say, hey, look, uncle, you know, we're having an issue with you doing this. And it's always we. Yeah, it's very specific. We never say, oh, Sarah's having an issue or Ryan's having an issue with you doing X, Y, and Z. That singles that person out, and it doesn't create a unity between you and your wife or you and your spouse. And that causes a lot of like, not disturbance, but man, I'm not very good with words today.
It's like tension. Yeah,
tension. Thank you. Like there's just a lot of tension. You know what I mean? So I feel by us doing that and taking each other's side of the family each time we have an issue, it relieves a lot of that tension, because now they're not singling me out and saying, oh, well, you know, your husband's always bitching or complaining about yada yada, right? It's a unity thing. Like it's always 100% we. I don't think we've ever had a talk. Very, very rarely. If it's super specific things, then we'll bring it up. If it's not, then it's always we. Like, hey, we're having an issue with you doing this. You know, whatever it may be. Again, aunts, uncles.
Be something simple or something where, you know, it's not simple to you. Or I feel like, and say, I don't know, Ryan's having an issue with my cousin or something, and I go and talk to my cousin, and it still doesn't get resolved. We'll go together, and then we'll go talk to, you know, that person together, and that way it's us still, and not just one person, you know. And so that's helped too when we go to, you know, a person together and we talk through things.
Yeah,
and
I definitely think that's a huge one just for us, because I really feel like if you were just to go, right, or I were just to go to either one of our families, like,
oh, it's your problem.
Yeah,
like, it's Ryan's problem. Or
yeah, it'd be
my
like,
problem,
oh, you know, Ryan's always complaining about this. It wouldn't be a unity thing, you know. It'd be more of a an individual spouse issue, you know. So I really feel like that's helped us kind of be where we're at, because I mean, you know, we may have issues with our family, and you know, we just kind of all talk it out, and again, take each other's family. You know, she'll take her family and I'll take mine. And I feel like that's helped us quite a bit, and, you know, in our relationship, most definitely.
And it's never like, oh, well, you know, like we had said before, always put each other in each other's shoes. If, you know, Ryan's having a problem or something, okay, like I'll try to sit there and figure it out. And even like Ryan said earlier, if it's not a problem to me, but it's a problem to him, it's a problem for both of us. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's
number 6 is a big one for me. She actually wrote it down, but
I did.
Yeah, she's the best at it. So it's always support each other. Well, I mean, you are. So I have a lot of hobbies, like a lot of hobbies, you know. I mean, for a while we made signs, you know, and she's like, yeah, that's great, you know, I'll help you make signs. And then I was like, all right, cool, sounds great. And then I was actually, before the signs, I was into cars. Still into cars. I just can't afford it right now.
High school days of falling asleep in the garage and eating in the garage and doing homework in the
so I mean, I was into cars, you know, and I'd work in the garage, you know, fairly often. And I was at my mom's. She had this, you know, big huge shop, and we just kind of sat back there, no AC, no nothing. It was miserable at times, but
cold as crap. You would set this fire in the garage and light it up so where I'd be cold. There's a picture of me at one point. I was bundled up in a blanket, sitting in the chair by his car, knocked the heck out, like just donezo. But it was because, you know, we both had school or we had work after school, and then it would be like 9 o'clock at night and we still hadn't seen each other for the day. And so he'll be like, well, I'm going to work on my car. Do you want to come over? What am I supposed to do? Say no? So yes, of course I would go over and I would sit there and support his, you know, hobby.
So, I mean, that's definitely one way, like actually being there. That's a sign of support, right? But after the cars, right, I ended up selling one of the cars that I had. I partied it out and I bought my wife a ring. So that hobby kind of took a back burner, and then we decided, you know what, we're gonna buy a house together, and so we did the signs, then I decided, you know what, after the signs, I'm gonna do some hats. And then after that, I said, you know what, I'm gonna start streaming. Not in particular this YouTube channel, but on Twitch. Hey, Zoology.
Link it down below.
Yeah. So, anyways, through like literally anything I've ever wanted to do, whether it be big things, small things, she's always supported me. She's never said, yeah, no, I don't think you should do that, or that's not a good idea. It's always like, yeah, sweetheart, that's no issue. You know, what can I do to help? So that's a big thing for me. Is definitely the support she gives me.
Me too, because I mean, since the beginning, he supported everything. I mean, one huge thing for me was when I was going to nursing school and I had still worked at Best Buy and I was going to continue to work while I was in school. And Ryan was like, no, you're not doing that. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I have worked since I've been able to work, you know, since I was 15 or whatever. And then he was like, no, like, you're focusing on school. You're in nursing school. This is something you need to focus on mainly because this is going to benefit both of us when you're done. And so that was really hard for me only because, well, now he's my full support. And, you know, he'd buy my food, my gas, everything, anything I needed, you know. And so that was a huge thing for me. And I finished nursing school and got a job. And then, you know, it's been smooth sailing from there.
My daddy, so she'll be my sugar
mama. Whatever. That's the only reason. But, you know, it's always small things too. And he's supported me through everything. I mean, shit. He was even there when I went and took my driving test, remember? Well, it was actually for the driving school, and I was, you know, telling him, I don't know where the heck to go. Where is she going to be? He walked me there. So, I mean, he even met me before I even had a license. So it was literally through all those awesome steps that we had went through that we've always supported each other. So
yeah, and something else just to touch on this, the support isn't always financial, right? Like, no. I mean, we've had a lot of stuff in the family. I won't mention it here because I'm not really sure if, you know, they want that known, but we've had a lot of stuff in the family to where, you know, it's hard stuff. It's hard stuff, and yeah, I mean, just being there for each other and actually, you know, whether it be just a shoulder to cry on or, you know, just some life advice between each other. I mean, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Yeah, for both of us. I mean, and there's been definitely hard times in both of our lives that we have been there for each other. I mean, since we were so young when we started dating, and you know, even though you may not know what to say in that moment, I mean, just being there for each other during whatever time it was really helped. So, all right. Yeah. I love that woman. Number 7. That Sarah's the best at? Oh, Ryan too. I mean, he can't sit there and say that. Communication. We kind of put these in a bundle pack. In a bundle. It's a bundle pack. Bonus tips. Yeah, that works. Communication / being understanding. It doesn't always have to be something negative. It could be something positive. However, it's very important to communicate with each other whenever there is something negative, right? If I did something to offend Sarah, if I did something that she decided, you know what, this isn't something I appreciate. You know, it may just be something that I kind of do on a daily, or I used to do on a daily, right? And all she's got to do is bring it up to me and say, hey, you know what? I don't know if you noticed, but you know, whenever you're talking to me, you said X, Y, and Z, and I don't really appreciate it. I take it to heart, and then I never say it again. Another super simple example, not as important, near as important, but would be like our towels, right? So I'd always take a shower, I'd grab my towel, dry myself off, I'd go get some underwear, and in the meantime, I'd drop my towel, put it on the bed, and that would be that. I'd usually forget it there. Always. Make a damp ass spot on the blanket. She didn't like that. So she talked to me, she's like, hey, you know, like a pet peeve of mine, a pretty big pet peeve of mine is you keep leaving your towel on the bed. And I'm like, okay, well, I could put it up. She's like, yeah, that'd be great. So from now on, I put my towel up. I mean, super simple example, something that could easily be fixed. But none of those things can be fixed without communication. So if you don't talk about it, something's bugging you and you don't tell your significant other, how are they supposed to know? Don't assume that they just, they're like, oh, well, I mean, they could see I'm mad. Well, yeah, they could see you're mad. And if you say, okay, well, what's wrong, sweetheart? Or what's wrong? And you're like, oh, nothing. And you just stay upset about it. There's not, you can't fix that.
I'm guilty of that, though.
I mean, you can't fix that. Now you're playing the guessing game of, oh, what did I do to upset him? Or what did I do to upset her? But if you talk it out and you're like, look, I didn't appreciate that. It's pretty easy to correct. So it's very important to stay talking, stay communicating with your significant other. I'd say that's probably number 2 as far as important.
If you were to put this in a list.
Yeah, it's again still not in order. So and then being understanding. So there's some things that I've personally done, and I'll be like, look, babe, I did whatever. I left the damn car inside of the driveway and it's not running, which is currently the case. She's like, no big deal. Park on the side of the street. Or maybe I'm like, hey, you know what, sweetheart, I'm gonna stream for 2 hours. I'm sorry, like I kind of need some space so that way I can get everything rolling. No big deal. I'm gonna go watch TV inside the room. Just being understanding. Those are real simple examples, but just putting yourself in your significant other's shoes. Try to walk a mile in their shoes and say, hey, you know what? I understand why you're doing this. I get it. I don't appreciate it or I'm upset about it, but I can see where you're coming from. That's a really big thing because once you see where they're coming from, it makes you less upset. Whatever it is, you may be pissed, you may be mad, but when you take a step back and you're like, I get it. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I get it. It makes for a lot easier transition into being just back to normal.
Doesn't lead to a fight.
Yeah,
like I said,
absolutely.
We don't fight. Like we don't fight. Like I feel like, like I said earlier, we get irritated, but I don't feel like we hardly ever fight with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing with it, is being just understanding of whatever the situation may be, and put each other in each other's shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. So another one that we have is covering each other's weaknesses.
Number 8.
Something that I am so bad at. Laundry.
Organization.
Oh, jeez, God, I'm bad at life. I'm pretty organized.
I mean, okay, I don't mean it like that.
Okay,
I'm talking about keeping track of your stuff. Like you lose your stuff very easily.
I can agree with that. Okay, that's a good example. Yeah,
perfect.
Perfect.
Very good. Do you remember that time I found your keys on the
You remember that time I
playground?
found Chris's keys underneath the toolbox? So
I told them to look where they were, and ding, 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 the keys are underneath the toolbox.
And who found them?
Did you check that?
This guy.
Tap him.
So, anyhow, covering each other's weaknesses. So something that I'm really bad about, as she already mentioned, is I lose things pretty often.
Whether it's his keys, his wallet, his hat.
This is something else that I think personally is one of my strengths is financials. I love financials. I love talking about money. It's one of the things that I'm very passionate about.
And very good at.
Yeah, I'd like to think I'm pretty good at it. So that's something that I would say is one of my strengths. One of my weaknesses is something like actually keeping up on the daily chores of the house. I'm very bad at that. As a matter of fact, this woman right here literally runs the house. Without her, I would be working out of a suitcase with clothes, probably not washed for 3 days. And when they are washed, they're just thrown in a pile, So like.
But then it's like the other way around. I don't know how to change the oil in my car. I don't know how to take the damn pool filters out of the thing to go clean them. I mean, I know how to run a lawnmower, but I mean, that's why we pay Michael to do it. So,
Thanks,
but
Mike.
it's like stuff like that. Okay, I necessarily don't know how to do. Or if I broke the garbage disposal not too long ago, and I went into Ryan's room and was like, hey.
Hey,
The garbage disposal.
The hell did you shove down in here? It's a bone and another bone.
Not eating. He's
Some more,
totally full of it.
some
That's
more
what
metal?
Mag did, though. She put the rib down the garbage disposal at Mom's house, remember? And then she turned it on, and she went to Mom, and she goes, Lisa, the garbage disposal's not working. It's just like a bone down there, and you had to go fix it. Anyway, I didn't stick anything down there. I was trying to make Ryan horchata, and then I accidentally spilled all the damn rice down there, and it all got stuck, and the thing wouldn't spin. We had to go buy a whole new garbage disposal. But, like, I don't know how to replace that, so I sat down there and gave Ryan company, you know, so, that's just, yeah, it's just stuff that I'm just not good at all. So, I mean.
So anyways,
you know,
cover your guys' weaknesses. You know, one's going to be better at something than the other. Whatever it may be, support each other while you're doing it. And let's move on to number 9.
Always keep each other laughing.
Yeah, I'm great at this. She sucks.
So he's, yeah.
Anyways.
He keeps himself laughing, apparently, through the past 9 years.
Yeah.
Sitting here for the fun of it.
Hey, you know what part of the tree is a cat afraid of?
The bark.
The bark. Yeah. What about a fish with no eye?
What'd you tell me the other day, and I knew it? You're like, oh, what's black and white and red all over? And you're in the shower, and I yell, a newspaper, and you go, yeah.
Wasn't funny then because she got it. Anyways, we're super goofy. And anytime there's kind of been like I guess a darker mood or something that kind of upsets us, we always bring light to it, and we're always just super goofy. And by being super goofy, it's always just lighten the mood. You know what I mean? We're never really serious people. I think pretty regularly we're like just goofballs. Yeah. Would you agree?
I'd agree.
Okay, cool. I agree too.
So number 10, we did put this one last for a reason.
Woo!
Be on the same page about money. Okay. Which will, you know, more of this will be talked about in our next video.
Are you gonna link it there?
Episode 5. I'll link it.
Obviously, like we've told you, you know, we met when we were high school sweethearts. So our money was kind of like $400 every 2 weeks because we were working a part-time job at a gas station or a McDonald's or her first job, Little Caesars.
$200 every 2 weeks. Yeah, that was a lot of money.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, we managed that money, but obviously we were kids. You know, we blew that money as well. But as we started progressing in life and getting these better jobs, by the time we moved in together when she was 20 and I was 22. At the time when we moved in together, she was working at Best Buy still, and I just got out of school, and started working at my local naval base. I was a plane captain out there. I was making decent money. I was making $23 an hour, I think, or $22 an hour, which was a huge bump from my $10 an hour.
Literally from minimum wage to that.
Yeah, it was great. And she was working her Best Buy when she decided to go to school, just like she had told you earlier. We basically paid everything out of the paycheck that I was getting. Now, when we moved in together, we had been together for already 5 years. I believe 5 years.
Because then a couple months later was when we got engaged.
Yeah,
and
so
that was 5 years.
Yeah, so we were together for 5 years, and so we were already kind of, you know, ready to get married. We were established. So we put all our money in one pot, and we said, okay, cool. This is our bank account. As a matter of fact, that's kind of what brought this whole thing up, of how our money is tied together. Is she started going to school, so I just put her as a co-owner or whatever on the bank account and said, hey, look, she can pull out money whenever she wants. She needs a bank card, and we just started piling our money into there. So if she got financial aid, she would put her financial aid into the account. If I got paid, I'd put that money into the account, and we just kind of managed that money, you know, however we saw fit together.
And I had saved money when I was still working at Best Buy, when I was still living with Mom. I had saved up, you know, a little bit, wasn't a whole lot, but it's something that I felt would contribute to us, because obviously I wasn't working anymore, and that was challenging because I didn't want to feel like I was relying on somebody, because that was hard.
Yeah.
But we had saved up some money, and that's how we got some furniture and stuff and things like that.
I mean,
that helped.
That was
out
our
a
first
lot.
furniture. It was like $300 or $400 furniture. And I tell you, it was for small people.
We got we got a TV and just stuff that we needed, and then our parents helped out a lot with that, especially our moms and stuff, and but that making sure that obviously I'm not a person to go and be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a $500 purse because he's gonna buy it for me. I wasn't like that, and I felt like it could have totally been a completely different situation if I was a different person, obviously. And I feel like if I was a different person, he wouldn't be with me. But it's just you're a team at this point, and it's like I was very grateful for him. To be like, we're still going to move in with each other, even though, you're just going to school, but I was going to school to better our future together, which paid off in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's super important to be on the same page. Whenever we made purchases back then, if it was, we set a limit for ourselves. So, we originally didn't have a limit. We're like, you know what? $50. Anything over $50 if you spend, just run it by me, or I'll run it by her and say, hey, look, I really wanted this. It's $100 and money's in the account, then it's good to go as long as all our bills are paid. So we set a limit of $50, and that worked really well for us. Anything that she had accumulated as far as debt, or I'd accumulated for debt, we tackled that together. And then once we had our $50 limit, it was pretty easy kind of to have the rest of the cards fall into place. She got her job shortly after and started making some good money. And then I got hired into the shop and was making some good money as well. We still had our money, kind of combined together. And that $50 limit, once we both had a job, got raised pretty significantly. I would say now unless it's probably $150 purchase, we don't really bother asking each other. It's kind of just like, like
we still tell each other like, oh, hey, I bought X, Y, and Z today, or because I feel bad about the certain type of scrubs that I really like to wear are expensive, but I'll find coupons and stuff to get through it. But now it's to the point to where, like, if I want it, typically I'll get it, or if he wants it, he'll get it. But still, our bills are paid, and our, that's that. So
and our debt's paid. That's our biggest thing.
We are debt free.
Yeah.
We are debt free.
If you guys aren't on the same page and you have one person blowing money and the other one's not, or both of you guys are blowing money, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. So it's one of the biggest reasons that people get divorced is money fights. So that was a thing that we tackled pretty early on in life, and want to make sure that we got that out of our way, so that way that's just one less factor that we have to deal with.
Which will lead into our next video, though. We'll talk a lot about what we did and tips and tricks and things as to kind of where to get started, no matter how much debt you're in. If you're in $100,000, or how much you make, it doesn't matter. Whether if you're $100,000 in debt, or $20,000 in debt, or $10,000 in debt, or you just need to pay off a $2,000 credit card, or whatever the case may be. And just like Ryan said, it doesn't matter how much you make. There's always a way to do it. So that'll be talked about in the next episode. Thank you for watching this episode. And then make sure you subscribe and like our video below if you liked it. Down below somewhere. Wherever the hell it's at on the YouTube thing.
I don't think we're going to have it ready, but follow us, ring that bell, and we'll come at you guys here with the next video. Episode 5, Debt Free.
Bye.
See ya.